Good morning, everybody. I have to make myself smaller. Let me see. Let me share my screen. Let's do the 16-year-old that was finally released from prison. I did a live on him the other day, and he was taken into custody in February when he went to go visit his family in the West Bank, and Israeli soldiers went into the house and kidnapped him, blindfolded him, handcuffed him, and all that stuff, acting like he's some kind of criminal, and was sent to a military prison for throwing rocks at an Israeli tank. First, it was the Israeli tank, and then it was civilians. He was throwing rocks at civilians. So there was no proof of it. He had no trial. There was nothing. So he was in prison for 9 months. Well, there's good news. They let him go. Why? I don't know. Like, he is an American, and Israel's supposed to be our ally. I don't think that they are, but they did let him go. But there are still way too many people in prison, in military prison, that probably shouldn't be there, and they need to let him go. All of them need to be let go because the Israelis are committing war crimes, and nothing is being done. They're not getting punished for it. So, but these people who did nothing are getting punished for, I think it's just like a form of terrorism. They complain about Hamas being a terrorist. They're just as bad or worse. So I wanted to read one of these articles to see how this came about, because that is very interesting to me on how that happened. Let's see. Okay. So the latest one was 5 hours ago. Let me see if I can get this. Yeah, the story of Mohammed Ibrahim, 16-year-old, released after 9 months in Israeli prison. And he was beaten, and he contracted scabies. It wasn't treated. And what is this? Oh my God, these ads. Seriously. They weren't treated. They did show the scabs. I saw a video of it. He did have those. He is malnourished. All that stuff, all that good stuff that they do in prison. Where did it go? All that good stuff that gets that. Where did it go? Oh my gosh. I had it. All right, let's do this again. Okay. Yeah. So, all that stuff that they do in prison. 15 years old when the IDF took him to a military prison. Then he was transferred to another one where he had no contact with his family or the outside world. But they continue to advocate for his release because he is, an American. And these ads are really something else. And they finally let him go after 9 months. And like I said, they showed videos of him. I'm sure you could find it if you want to look at it, where he is, to say the least, malnourished. Mohammed Ibrahim, a Palestinian American teen, was freed on Thursday, Thanksgiving, after spending 9 months in an Israeli prison. Israeli soldiers detained him when he was 15 for allegedly throwing stones at Jewish settlers in the West Bank. Now it's the Jewish settlers. Ibrahim's family says he drastically lost weight and developed scabies while in custody. Boy. And then they talk about Then they talk about the Israelis, that is, especially in this country, the Zionists talk about the Arabs being terrorists. I mean, and they're not. Mohammed Ibrahim turned 16 this year. He turned 16 when he was in prison. He wasn't in an Israeli prison then. The Palestinian American, oh my God, teenager was released on Thursday after spending 9 months behind bars yesterday. Very telling. The teen from Florida was allegedly blindfolded and handcuffed in the middle of the night in February when Israeli forces raided his family home in the West Bank. He was visiting from Florida for a holiday and was arrested for allegedly throwing stones at Jewish settlers. Well, these Jewish settlers that are in the West Bank are going around killing people, by the way. They have killed numerous people, and they also attacked like a 50 or 60-year-old woman who was out in the fields getting olives. They attacked her and beat her. I think she survived, which is a miracle. So it's not the Palestinians that are doing this. It is the Israelis that are doing this. Okay, they are. He was reportedly held without charge in Offa prison, a home to adult prisoners, some of whom have been convicted of serious terrorism offenses and murder. Last month, 27 U.S. lawmakers, including Senators Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren. Why does this happen? Oh my God. Then I lose the article. There it is. Last month, 27 U.S. lawmakers, including Senators Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and Chris Van Hollen, who wrote to Secretary of State Marco Rubio, urged the administration to push Israel to free him. They expressed grave concern over the boy's treatment. They did say, that is, the Trump administration did say that they were working to get him released. I did not believe it, but maybe they were. I mean, I don't know how this came about. Maybe we'll find out. So what do we know about this 16-year-old, his arrest and the treatment in Israeli custody? The arrest. I've gone through this already. The case came to light after a 20-year-old American Palestinian, Safola Musalet, was allegedly beaten to death by Israeli settlers in mid-July. I think that's his cousin. The Guardian learned while reporting Musalet's story that his younger cousin, Ibrahim, was arrested in February. So his cousin was killed by the Western settlers that are the Eastern settlers that are in the West Bank. I saw a video of it. When people go in that territory, wherever it is in the West Bank, these people like come out of nowhere and you get ambushed. And you could very easily get killed because they have wooden sticks that they use to beat you, and there's nothing they can do because they're not armed. And they're cowards. This is what cowards do. They attack people that are defenseless. U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee called Musalet's brutal killing a criminal and terrorist act, demanding that Israel aggressively probe the murder. However, no arrest has been made yet. They're not going to look into this because they have done way worse. They've done a lot of atrocities to the Palestinians since this war started. And I was going to say something, but it just left me. But they have done a lot. And they blame the Palestinians. This is all propaganda that is also happening in the United States, where you have the Zionists that own mainstream media, where you do not hear these stories. You have to really subscribe to other news sources to get this information that I didn't even see. So, again, it's not in mainstream media. This case was not in mainstream media. And I would love to know how this came about. I was going to say something, but I'll probably remember later. Both Ibrahim and Musalet worked together in the family ice cream shop in Tampa, Florida. That's where they're from, Tampa, Florida. During the time in prison, or in Florida rather, Israeli authorities did not allow Ibrahim to contact his family. He did not have any visitation rights Only U.S. officials had access to him, and his relatives received all updates through them. Oh, so they were talking to the U.S. officials only. It took them 9 months. That's a long time to get this kid out. And the other should be released as well. On Thursday, following a guilty plea and suspended sentence, the teenager was released according to his family. Oh, so that's what it was. He pled guilty in a suspended sentence. Now, well, okay. I guess those were the conditions, that if he was going to be released, he was going to have to plead guilty, which makes him, like I said before, the Israelis are trying to make it look like that this is the Palestinians' fault. Earlier this week, Abraham's father, Zahar Abraham, who runs the ice cream business in Florida, said his son only confessed to throwing stones because the soldiers beat him. Yeah, they do that in this country too. The life in prison. In an October interview with the Defense for Children International Palestine, the nonprofit that promotes children's rights, Abraham shared his ordeal about the mistreatment of minors in Israeli jails. He spoke about the alleged harsh treatments, including thin mattresses, cold cells, and meager meals. The meals we receive are extremely insufficient, Abraham said. Further adding, for breakfast, we are served just 3 tiny pieces of bread, along with a mere spoonful of labne, I don't know what that is. At lunch, our portion is minimal, consisting of only half a small cup of undercooked dry rice, a single sausage, and 3 small pieces of bread. Dinner is not provided, and we receive no fruit whatsoever. Wow. The boy told DCIP how Israeli soldiers beat him with butts of rifles while transporting him. The nonprofit said after obtaining the testimony from another Palestinian U.S. teen in prison that Abraham has lost a considerable amount of weight since his detention began. In jail, Abraham also contracted a skin infection. Since then, his family, right groups, and U.S. lawmakers have been pleading with the Trump administration for his release. Ayanna Pressley of Massachusetts wrote on X on October 19, Abraham's health is deteriorating. The circumstances are desperate. The United States must use every avenue available to secure the release of this Palestinian American child. The boy's uncle, Ziad Kaddour, said the family was relieved now that Abraham has been released. He is finally home. Words can't describe the immense relief we have as a family right now. To have Mohammed in his parents' arms, his uncle said. We couldn't believe Mohammed was free until his parents wrapped their arms around him and felt him safe. The family have been living a horrific and endless nightmare over the last 9 months. Israeli soldiers had no right to take Mohammed from us in the first place. Right, I agree. Abraham's uncle said that immediately after his release, a teen was taken to a hospital for intravenous therapy and blood work, noting that he is severely underweight, pale, and is still suffering from scabies. Kaddour said after Abraham's release, the family would continue to fight for justice for his cousin, who was beaten to death by Israeli settlers in July. Palestinian children targeted by Israel. According to a 2013 United Nations Children Fund report, Israel is the only country that systematically prosecutes children in military courts. Wow. And we are funding this, the United States, that is. It's really something. It really is. This is just something. Israeli military court previously considered Palestinian children to be minors only up to 15 years, the report notes. However, on 27 September 2011, the Israeli military commander in the occupied West Bank issued the military order 1676, which raised the age of majority in the military course from 16 to 18. Well, Israel has not commented on the release of Abraham. Well, let me tell you. There's so many things going on here in this country that's tied to Israel. There are way too many Zionists in the Trump administration. And some people think that President Trump is being controlled by these Zionists because he's afraid of his life. Because these people are barbaric. They're barbarians. They're psychopaths, and they will do anything that they deem fit to keep Israel, that nation, and to stay there on that land. Even if it means doing what they're doing right now to the Palestinians, to them, that is justified. Even though before Israel was even a nation, before 1948, the Jews would live in Palestine if they wanted to go to the Middle East because Israel didn't exist. And I do not remember any issues from before 1948 when the Jews lived with the Palestinians in Palestine. A lot of Jews were born in Palestine. They got along. The Palestinians did not fight with the Israelis or the Jewish people that were there. They got along. They have very similar backgrounds. It was only after Israel was formed that the Middle East started having issues, but the Palestinians did nothing to the Jews before Israel was formed. So I don't understand what is going on here with these crazy Zionists and Netanyahu. This just doesn't make any sense at all. And unfortunately, the United States is continuously still sending money to Israel. Israel is way too entrenched in our politics on every level, not just federally, nationwide, but on the state level and local level as well, which I've talked about before, where I come from. They are entrenched in that town. It is a town of 15,000 people, and they have set up shop there. An Israeli nonprofit organization is there concerning real estate. They're everywhere. Not only are they taking our tax money on the federal level, but they're taking it on the state level and they're taking it on the local level. We are giving never-ending money to Israel, and it should stay in the town or city you're from, not to go to Israel. But that's not how it's working, though. Maybe it's going to change. I hope so. The younger generation, like the 20, 30, and 40-year-olds, are seeing this and speaking up. America first. They want an America first party. They're going to start something. Something will happen. And President Trump, at some point, is going to have no choice but to do what we want him to do. And that is to stop sending money to Israel. Period. End of story. No money. None. Ever again. Because they're insane. So the Zionists that are all over this country, in our government, everywhere, in the White House, under the Trump administration, there's too many of them. There are way too many, and they're influencing what President Trump is doing, I believe. Especially, it's not only nationally, but there's pushback here, but even on the foreign level with Venezuela and the Middle East. Now it's Venezuela. And people think that the president is doing this because of the oil and because of Wall Street. They want to make money. And so they want Maduro to step down. I don't know what's going to happen here, but this is crazy, I think. So, and I also heard something else today, and I was kind of wondering about her anyway. I think her name is Susan Wiles. She is the chief of staff for President Trump. And where did it go? Here it is. Yeah. Susan Wiles. She's the first woman to be chief of staff in the White House. And she did work for Netanyahu in 2020's campaign. Is this why Trump tapped her? Is this why? What is this tie that President Trump has with Netanyahu specifically? She is the daughter of Pat Summerall, who is he was a broadcaster for, I think, football. Well, this is his daughter. Okay. And I don't know if he's Jewish. I have no idea here if there is any connection. I read that there wasn't, but I really don't know. And I do not know how she became to work with Netanyahu's campaign in 2020. I just don't know. She served as the White House chief of staff and was involved in Netanyahu's reelection efforts, which has raised discussions about potential conflicts of interest due to her connections with Donald Trump and other political figures. I don't know how that's a conflict of interest. I'm not sure, because this country is already involved with Israel. And I think that is a conflict of interest in terms of foreign policy. Yeah, where this administration and previous ones are making decisions based on what's best for Israel, not what's best for our country. However, somebody was saying that President Trump is starting or somewhat backing away from Israel. I don't see it myself yet. If it's true, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it. But I just can't tell at this point if President Trump is stepping away from Israel. If it is, it's a very slight move backwards, because I'm not noticing it. Maybe he's right. I hope so. I really do. But I was wondering, when I was looking into her, if there was any Jewish connection in the family, if she was Jewish. I didn't find anything. But I did, like I said here today, that she did work for Benjamin Netanyahu's campaign to get reelected. And that's probably how President Trump learned of her. Again, I don't know I just don't know what the ties that President Trump has with Netanyahu, but they're just a little too strong. And Netanyahu is getting carried away with what is happening in Palestine. And I think I remember what I wanted to say. The soldiers in the IDF for Israel are ending their own lives because of what's been happening ever since October 7, when this war started with the Palestinians. But Netanyahu and his gang keep saying that they're not doing any of these things, which is committing war crimes. He is saying that that's not happening. Well, if that's not happening, then why are the IDF soldiers, former ones, or even the ones in reserve, are ending their lives? If that's not the case, it has gone up ever since the war started a couple of years ago. So if they really weren't doing anything, then this shouldn't be happening in the military of Israel, but it is. Some have tried and some have been successful. But what is going on and why are they doing it is because they have seen or committed something they shouldn't have done. Which is to say, unfortunately, that they have taken their own lives, but at least they have a conscience. Whereas Netanyahu doesn't seem like he has one. He's a psychopath. And I think all the Zionists are psychopaths. Now, is Susan Wiles a psychopath? I mean, a Zionist, this is the thing. It's like, maybe I would say yes, I think. Let me see. This was in September, Substack. This was in June. Alex Jones made a comment about it. She worked briefly for Netanyahu's 2020 campaign. Well, that explains why President Trump knows who she is. I was wondering what that was all about, and now I know. That was last year. So let me see about, this is September. Let's see if I can get this. And there go the ads. One more time. Once again. Where did she go? Here it is. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with Max Blumenthal. He is Jewish, and he is an anti-Zionist. So he's a journalist, and he does a lot of these pieces. He is very well known for his work. He has won awards for his work. So I would say that this is a credible source if he found out about it. And let me see if there's an article on it. Yeah, let's see what it's got. Wiles worked on Netanyahu's 2020 re-election campaign, helped isolate Trump to be fed Mossad talking points. We're unmasking the biggest foreign influence infiltration operation in American history that is basically taking control of an administration that says it's America first and has taken us to a very dangerous place. How crazy is that? America first. And your chief of staff literally worked for a foreign leader. What's going on here? Yes, what is going on here? Bankers have decided Trump's their man to get the control grid for them, which is probably Venezuela, pushing the digital ID like crazy, trying to get everybody on the real ID system and reporting to the Netanyahu syndicate, which wants to engineer war with Iran. And they are saying that, well, somebody said that Israel is going to attack Iran, and they believe President Trump is going to step away from that and not get involved. Let's hope to leave Israel in their own defenses and use, our money and stolen intelligence from their spies, like Pollard, that Huckabee went to go visit, and let them fight their own wars, because it's about time that this happened, and we have to stop giving them money. I'm sick. I'm sick and tired of our money going to Israel, and then they do this. No, it's done. It's done. It's over. They need to figure out a way to keep themselves on that land. If they really want to stay that badly, they're going to have to fund it themselves. And that's it. No more intelligence gathering for Israel. No more money for Israel. That state's got to go anyway. Israel has got to dismantle. The UN, if they can somehow construct nations all over the world, I'm sure that they can deconstruct them as well. Deconstruct Israel. And this ID stuff, you really have to, when the president does something, you really have to wonder who he is doing it for. Because now it's come to a point where it's like, why is he doing this? Is it because of Israel? Is it the Zionists that are telling him to do this because their main concern is Israel, not America? And President Trump ran on America first, but he's not acting like it. This is the problem here. And a National Guardsman has passed away from a shooting that happened, was it Wednesday? And one of them passed away yesterday on Thanksgiving, the woman, a 20-year-old, 20. Now, President Trump has ordered to have all the Afghan applications, visas, whatever the heck they have, green card, I don't know, they're all now under review. This is what he should be focusing on, not what Israel wants, what this country needs. So every time, even for this country, every time President Trump makes a decision, you have to wonder why he's really doing it and who told him to do this. This clip of former Assistant Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, investment banker, and founder of Solari Report is taken from a recently posted interview with Propaganda in Focus. Yeah, there's a lot of propaganda going on for sure. Partial transcription of clip. Okay, I don't want to read the whole thing. All right, so that's a little bit of this. This is from, again, Max Blumenthal, who has won awards for his journalism. So he's very popular in these types of circles, not in mainstream media, because you probably never heard of him, but on social media, people do know who he is. And he does a lot of reporting on the Zionists and what is going on in the Middle East. He's very well informed about it. And he's Jewish, by the way. I think I don't know if I said that or not, but he's a Jewish man who is not a Zionist. He does not like what Israel is doing. Okay. So, yeah, there are a lot of things going on in this country, and what President Trump ran on, America First, it doesn't seem to be happening, and people are very frustrated about it. Nobody likes it. I did not vote for this, where I didn't know Israel was going to be such a big influence with the Trump administration. I really thought it was just going to be America First or Make America Great Again, which in translation to me is America First, not Israel, America. I don't know. This is all messed up to me, and I think there is something stirring underneath here, and that is the America First movement. There is a movement in the younger generation where they just want an America First, I believe, party, where they're going to find candidates that are not going to take lobby money, let alone AIPAC. So there is like this pushback going on right now. And it's probably going to continue. And I think it's going to grow because I think that I believe the left is just as sick of this. The Democrats are a mess anyway. They've got nothing. They're horrible. And I can't believe people vote for them. It's mind-boggling to me after what they did under the Biden administration. I can't even believe they get votes still. This party is such. I don't even know what it is anymore. I don't even know what the Democrats are anymore. They're horrible. They're just horrible. And the problem with the Trump administration is Israel. If Israel were out of the equation, I think President Trump would be much more popular, and the Republicans would probably get more seats very easily, and they would vote for him. But that is not the case, and I don't think President Trump is being very smart about what happened with Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is a Republican. I think he is listening to the Zionists, and they are ruining what we want. They are going against the will of the people, and is getting less and less popular. I think President Trump is getting less and less popular if he doesn't stop what he is doing concerning the Zionists. And especially what is going on in the Middle East. This is a big, big problem. We do not want our tax money going to Israel to do what they are doing to their neighbors. And it's not just Palestine, because now they're bombing Lebanon as well. This has got to stop. And if Israel cannot get along with their neighbors, then they're the ones that have got to go. They're the troublemakers. They're the ones that are committing war crimes. The Palestinians have done nothing to them, and they deserve better to live in the land that they want to live in, that has been there for thousands of years before the Jews got there. They were exiled. The Jews were exiled. So I don't want to go into the history of it and all that, but that you get the gist that before Israel was formed, the Jews went to go live in Palestine, and there were no issues until after Israel was formed. And they should have taken it down right away. And we should not have America that should have funneled all this money to them ever since they formed. This is insane. And they want to twist the story to make it look like that it is the Palestinians' fault for what they are doing to them in Israel, in the Middle East. That's what the Israelis are doing, and that's what the Zionists are doing in this country as well. So that's what I wanted to say. You guys have a good day, and that's all. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.